everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make 3 cards using the Christmas Cardinal stamp and stencil set. Okay, so we're going to make 3 cards using papers from the Mix-In collection and also from Silver Bells. And this is the stamp set. It comes with 4 stencils to color in that cardinal. And I have labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4, just to make it a little easier to work with. Okay, so the largest opening for the main body of the cardinal is 1, and then the detail is 2, and then the branches and well, the leaves, the pine needles, and the beak and the feet of the cardinal are number 3, and then the main branch is number 4. Okay, so I've loaded the stamp onto my MISTI, and I have a piece of candy apple cardstock, and I've inked up the stamp in black ink, and I've stamped it out. And then I have another piece of toffee cardstock, and this time I'm just focusing on stamping that branch. So I'm also stamping that in black ink, and the rest of the cardinal, it doesn't matter, I just want the ink to be on the branch. I'm going to fussy cut this, so I'm not too worried about the rest of the image. And I've stamped that out. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my Altenew sticky mat. This works really well with stencils because then you don't have to treat the stencil with any kind of low-tack adhesive. The edges of the stencil will go over the cardstock and stick to the Altenew sticky mat, and it won't move once you get it placed where you want it to be. So I've got the main stencil down. This is the one that I marked number 1, and this is the largest opening for the body of the bird, and I'm gonna ink that area up in candy apple ink. So I'm doing tone on tone, and it'll just deepen the color of candy apple and really give that cardinal a bright red color. Okay, and then I just wipe the stencils down with my stamp chamois. With using colors like reds and blacks and purples and maybe dark blues, you will stain your stencil, but don't worry about it, it still works just fine. Okay, next stencil I have labeled number 2, and this is for the detail coloring of the cardinal. And I'm going to ink that in scarlet. Okay, so I'm using blending brushes and just inking up that area. You can go as light or as dark as you wish. You can leave some areas without ink, however you like to color and blend. I'm just going for it and doing a nice deep color. Okay, then the next one has an opening for the beak and the feet of the bird, and then also the pine needles. So the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm working on candy apple, I need something that's opaque. So instead of inking it with closetomyheart ink, I'm going to use a gel pen because this can add color to a dark color cardstock, and you'll be able to see it. So I've got the beak done, and then I'm going to go ahead and start working on that branch area. Okay, I'm not worried about the branch that's on the candy apple piece. I'm just working with the toffee one because I'm going to fussy cut this out and layer it over that other one. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the pine needles in pine ink. And then I'm going to go over the feet of the bird. But first I'm going to clean it off so that I don't get colors cross-contaminating And then I'll lay it back down. And this time I'm going to do the feet, and that'll be in honey butter. You can really choose whatever color you want to use. And then the last stencil, this is the one that I marked number 4, is for the branch. So I'm going to do tone on tone, toffee ink on that toffee cardstock. So then we'll just add color to the branch. Okay. So then I'll get cleaned up here, and off camera, I'm going to fussy cut both of these. All right, so I have the tail of the bird and the body of the bird and then the branch, and we'll just layer them all together. Okay, so now I'm going to cut some of this mix-in pattern paper. It has little pine needles all over it, and I think it'll make a nice background for the bird. So I've got that trimmed down. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of pine cardstock to layer underneath it for a border. And just looking at the measurements, you can really make it whatever size you want. I think this will give it a nice background and then emphasize it with that pine. So it's about 1/8 of an inch larger. And then I'm going to come in with this silver bells. And I want this diagonal line to be a border all the way around. So I'm making this about 1/4 inch larger. So we'll have that border all the way around. And I wasn't sure if I wanted white to ultimately be my base, but then I looked at it and I thought, no, I want to bring in some black. So that's going to be my card base size. So I'm going to cut it at an A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And it's about 1/8 of an inch larger. So it's going to have a tiny border of black, just a little pop. Okay, so now I have a stamp that is from this stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it in the lower right-hand corner in black ink. And we'll stamp that out. And it says sending Christmas cheer. Okay, now we're ready to start assembling. So I'll bring in a card base. And this is an A2 card base from the value pack. Get 50 cards and envelopes in this pack, so it really is a good value. And I'm just going to assemble everything with Tombow tape runner. So we'll skip through this. It's just simple layering of each piece. And then I'm going to paper piece the branch and the bird and just glue those down. So I'm just laying things out first, and then I'll glue it down. Okay. And then to add a little extra bling, I'm bring in these gold gems, and these are from Pink Fresh Studio. I'm going to scatter a whole bunch of those around. Kind of looks like snow. And there's the first finished card. So pretty. I love the deep dark red using that candy apple cardstock. Okay, so for those of you who don't like to fussy cut, here's another option. So this time I have white cardstock in my MISTI, and I'm inking up the image in Mink ink. so that when I do the ink blending on it, the ink will be nice and deep and dark and bright. Okay, so I'm going to layer in my stencils just like before. And we'll make sure that's placed correctly. And then we'll bring in some candy apple ink. And we'll ink blend on that stencil. And I'm going nice and deep and dark. And like I said, however you choose to put ink down. If you want to go lighter, I've seen some beautiful artwork with lighter ink blending. I just choose to go nice and deep and dark. I want it to be a bold cardinal. Okay, then I'm going to bring in the stencil that I've marked number 2 for some detail inking. And we'll get that placed down, and I'm going to add some scarlet. So we'll add some detail and contours in a darker color. And then we'll move on to stencil number 3. I'm not worrying about the color that's going over the edges above the image and below, because you'll see what I do after this. So don't worry about over inking over the edges. You could use some masking tape to prevent that, but you'll see what I'm going to do in a minute. Then I'm going to go in with stencil number 3 with honey butter, and I'm going to ink up the beak and the feet. And then I'm going to bring in some pine and do the pine needles. So because I used mink to stamp originally, the color is a lot more bold on the pine needles, and also on the branch once I get that last stencil down. So this is the stencil that I marked number 4. I'll place that down, and we'll ink up the branch. So I'm using the same colors with the exception of the beak that I used on the first card. And you can see how the image takes shape on white daisy cardstock as opposed to candy apple. Okay, so now I'm going to place this image back in my MISTI, and I'm using a sponge dauber to ink up the face in black ink, and just adding a little extra color for some more of the detail lines just on the body of the bird so that the feathers will take shape. And I'm stamping down in the same place. So the branch still is stamped in mink, and then I've just got a little extra detail on the bird. So now I have cut out the entire image with a circle die. These are the nesting dies from Hero Arts. It has a larger circle, and then I took a circle that was larger than that to create a border in pine. And I'm using some of these sentiments. They're gold foil sentiments from Peak Fresh Studios. They have Christmas sentiments. And I've pulled a couple, and ultimately I wind up pulling another one that fits. And I'm just going to layer everything together just the same way that I did the other one, with the exception of the circle I have popped with some foam tape. And then we'll go ahead and lay down that sentiment underneath. And then I'll add some of these gold gems, and I'll scatter some of those around the bird. So that way You don't have to worry about over inking because that portion is going to be trimmed off by die cutting it with a circle. We'll scatter some of those gems around, and we'll call that one done. And here's some close-up shots. So pretty. Okay. So for the last card, I'm going to ink up the image in Mank ink, and I'm stamping on the light side of Mank cardstock. Okay. And so for those of you who don't have cardinals in your area, like here in Colorado, we have stellar jays and some other types of bluebirds. And here's an image of a stellar jay. And I'm going to create one using the same stamp set. The shape is similar, so I think I can get away with it. So this time I'm going to ink up the body of the bird in bluebird ink. And then I'm going to layer over this color some Journey so I can get a little bit of that teal color added to it. I think it'll work. And then we'll go ahead and layer in the next stencil. And we'll add color to the beak and to the feet. Oh, first I'm going to add in the detail one with sapphire. We'll add a darker color there in blue, get some more detail, and then we can do the beak. So this card is going to have the same design as the other card. So I'm not worrying about over inking on the edges because I'm going to go ahead and die cut the whole image with a circle die. So we'll add color to the beak and to the feet, and I'm using honey butter and pine for the pine needles. And then we'll add the last stencil and color in that branch with toffee. So you can make a bunch of festive cards with different colored birds, not just red for the cardinal. Okay, so now I've put this back into my MISTI, and I'm going to ink up all the details in charcoal to add more color to the bird. So now I'm using another one of the mix-in papers. This is kind of a washed wood grain, and then also that pine needle pattern paper. And I have the same design as the card before this one, using sapphire cardstock. And then I'm going to stamp that same sentiment in sapphire ink. Wishing you Christmas cheer. Sending Christmas cheer, sorry. And so I've got that stamped out. And then we'll go ahead and layer the card together just like the other one. Okay. And then for the last step, I'm going to scatter some of these crystals around. And these are also from Pink Fresh Studios. They're kind of iridescent white. So here's all three cards. So I will make a list of all the supplies that I used with links in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.